Hello everyone. Let's look at the different parts of the program. So, as I showed you in the first video, the bare bones of any one of your programs will be these lines that you're seeing here. We're going to need the include IOStream in using namespace std. We're going to need an int main. We're going to return 0, and we're going to have the opening and closing curly brackets. So this is the bare bones of our program. And this is the code which our compiler will turn into an executable file or a running program. The compiler is the program which turns this text into an actual machine language that the computer can understand and run. Okay, so other than the actual code, which are the lines that are meaningful programming instructions, we know that our program needs to have comments. And comments are, for example, what you need to have on top of your program. Comments start with 2 forward slashes, and they are just an explanation to you and other people who read and write programs so that we can understand what your programs are really doing. So it's just an explanation for your code. And the code are these lines. And this is the real program which your compiler considers this code. The compiler does not consider any line that starts as forwards, it's 2 forward slashes, because that's a comment, and that is just an explanation for the code. Okay, so other thing that your program can have is output. And this is an example of why you want to have comments, so that you can label different parts of your program. Output is some kind of a message that shows on the computer screen. And in C++, that is done using the cout less than, and then something after that. So for example, hello world. Okay, so if I do that, and I do an endl, and I run the program, you're going to see the little hello world message. Okay, if I remove the endl, then it will just show the hello world without that extra blank line after the hello world. Okay, now this is an output or some kind of a message that shows up on the screen. Now let's look at something else called variables. Okay, and what are variables? Variables are storage locations for different data types. Okay, and there are different data types for the different kinds of information that can be in your program. There can be numbers, such as whole numbers or decimal numbers. There can be characters for letters. So letters are char, and there could be string for words. Okay, so let's give you an example for the different types. Okay, so for example, let's have a whole number which is going to be called age, and it will hold a number 10. So that will be right there. That's an integer, age equals 10. So integer is declaring, we're telling the compiler, declaring the data type. Okay, so this is declaring variable and initializing it to 10. Okay, initializing means we're giving an initial value to the variable. Declaring means we're stating what kind of a data type it will be. So it will be an integer or a whole number. Okay, let's say we wanted to have a decimal number for pi. So let's say we're going to have pi is equal to 3.14. Now we're declaring a variable with the name pi. Okay, and then we're initializing that variable to 3.14. We could do the same thing as a float with a double. It really won't make much of a difference for our programs. The only difference is that float is a shorter decimal number versus double is a longer decimal number. Other than that, we can also have letters or characters, and those are declared like that. and initialized like so. So a character is anything enclosed in single quotes. And we can also have a word, okay? In C++, we call those strings. So in here I am declaring name variable to be of the string type, and I'm initializing the name variable to be equal to Alex Stoikov. And string can be given a value of anything that's enclosed in quotes. So you could have spaces, you could have special characters in there, and you can even have quotes inside there as well. Okay, all you have to do is \quote if you want to show a quote inside there as well. Okay, so these are the different data types or kinds of information that your program can store. So whole numbers, characters, letters, and words. Okay, now this kind of information, instead of just sitting in there in your program, by default can be entered by the user, and this is called input. Okay, so input is information that goes into your program. If output is information that goes out of your program, then input is information that goes into your program. So output was being shown on the screen, and then input will be entered through the keyboard. So the first thing for input is, let's say I wanted to tell the user to enter some kind of an information. So let's say I wanted to tell them to go ahead and enter a new name, for example. So I would do something similar to what you see right here. Okay, and of course the cout is not my output, the cin is going to be my input. The cout is just going to inform the user what to enter. Okay, so this is very important. This is called a prompt. Okay, so you're going to guide the user of your program, and you're going to tell them what to enter in your program. So for example, when I run this program right here, right, notice how it tells me please enter a new name, and then the cursor is blinking. Okay, it's blinking because now the program has stopped at line 21, which is the cin, and it's waiting for me to enter some kind of information. And because I provided the user or myself with a meaningful prompt, I know what I'm supposed to enter. So I'm supposed to enter a new name. So let's give it a new name, Bob, for example. Okay, and I hit enter, the program enters, exits. Okay, so we didn't get to see what the contents of that variable are. So why don't we do this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the old value of the variable name. Let's say I'm going to do it right here, and then I'm also going to show you the value of name after we have entered it using cin. Okay, so this right here is the input. Okay, now let's run the program one more time. Okay, and by the way, notice hello world, everything is on the new line, on the same line. So why don't I do this? I'm going to go up on top, I'm going to do less than, and they'll run the program one more time. There we go. So then we get the hello world, which is this line. Then we have the old value of name is, and it shows you Alex Stoikov. Then it's asking me to please enter a new name, which is this here. The cursor is blinking, which is the cin. So the cursor is blinking because we have cin. It's waiting. The program is waiting for us to enter information into name. When I enter information into name, this Bob right here that I entered goes inside the variable name. And then when I hit the enter, then you can see that the program is actually showing you the value of name is now name, and it shows you that the variable name is now updated to something else. So the text that is inside quotes always shows up as is, and the value of the variable can change to whatever its contents are. So this is why a variable is called a variable, because it varies its contents. Okay, so this in a nutshell is what an input, output, and the different data types of programs can be.